If you're a fan of old school RPGs like Baldur's Gate and Planescape Torment, then you're in the right place. Passageway of the Ancients is a brand new RPG inspired by old school classics from the 1990s and early 2000s. Its familiar but unique real-time with pause strategy combat had me remembering my first trip through the Forgotten Realms in BG1, and its lore about shape-shifting dragons and mysterious arcane portals had me yearning to learn more. In this video, we're going to take a look at this impressive indie RPG so you can get a taste of what it's all about. Developed by a 4-person Texas-based studio called Passageway Games, Passageway of the Ancients is available for $19.99 USD on Steam. Click on my link in the description if you want a wishlist or purchase the game for yourself. And big shout out to the developers for sponsoring this video. So without further ado, let's buckle up, grab some iced coffee, and dive into the video. Passageway of the Ancients will see you embarking on a journey to solve the tragic murder of your parents and uncover the mysteries of Arion, the last known magical planet in the galaxy. Your character is a dragonkind, a badass race that is part dragon, part shapeshifter, and part angelic being. Only problem is the dragonkin are being fiercely persecuted today, so your character has to shapeshift into one of the more common races in polite society, which is a great time to talk about character creation. At the beginning of your journey, you can customize your character, choosing your race, class, and appearance. Play as a human, elf, or dwarf with lots of customization options for your body shape. Your class options are Cleric, Paladin, Sentinel, which is a kind of battle mage, regular mage, and rogue. I always love playing the spellcaster in fantasy RPGs, so I decided to go with mage for this playthrough. After going through the tutorial and meeting our first companion, Praetor Camden, we dive into our investigation into the murder of our parents. This will involve lots of puzzle solving, looting, dungeon diving, and combat. The combat in Passageway of the Ancients is party-based, real-time with pause strategy combat, reminiscent of the OG Baldur's Gate games, Pillars of Eternity, and Pathfinder. The art style and aesthetics also bring in that hint of nostalgia for the late 90s era brand of CRPGs. But there are some facets that make this game's combat unique, particularly the AI customization options. For starters, it's important to match your melee attack patterns to the height of your enemies. Short enemies like kobolds and goblins need to be targeted with low attacks, while larger constructs need to be aimed at with high attacks, etc. You can also fine-tune the form, style, and stroke of your melee attacks, giving you a great deal of control over how you and your companions perform in combat. As for magical spells, you can choose to set them to continuously cast or cast a single time. So for instance, setting up your healing spells for continuous casting will continue to heal you until you either reach full HP or the caster runs out of mana. But if all that is too complicated, you can just toggle on Combat AI and allow your companions to choose their own attack patterns and behavior. Just note that they won't always select the optimal setup with the Combat AI. When you are outside of the main cities, you can also shapeshift into your dragonkin form, providing you various buffs that are useful in combat. When you level up, it's time to return to a guild hall to purchase new abilities and spells. Your options are a bit more streamlined and casual-friendly compared to games like Baldur's Gate 1, which may be seen as either a pro or a con depending on who you are. For my taste, I quite like the progression system, and I managed to spec into a fireball pretty early into the game. Rogues also have the option to train additional abilities at the Raven's Nest, which also serves as a shop with great gear for that class, as well as lockpicks and other assorted items. Speaking of which, let's talk about exploration. Most of the early game main missions will see you delving into dungeons, while all your necessary vendors and trainers are located back in the town of Ithgar. So you can quickly fast travel back and forth by placing shadow gates. I placed my first gate in the town gatehouse, and I would move the second gate as I progressed through a dungeon. That way, if you find yourself in a tough spot in need of rest, leveling up, or just selling off your loot, then you can step through the shadow gate and teleport right back into town. Throughout Ithgar, you'll find a variety of vendors, as well as the guild hall, tavern, and house of the Ascending Star. That last one is the place to go to resurrect companions who have died in combat, because much like the OG Baldur's Gate games, companions can permanently die and need to be resurrected by visiting a temple. As you explore dungeons, you will also run across a ton, and I mean a ton of loot. Many of these items will have magical properties, but you won't always automatically know what these items do. So in order to identify them, you'll either need to use a spell or scroll, or you can pay a vendor in town to identify the object for you. So before you slap on that shiny new pair of boots, be sure to do this, just in case the item actually places a nasty debuff on you. Passageway of the Ancients also offers a variety of puzzles for you to solve. Runestone doors are locked with these Wheel of Fortune style word puzzles, where you have to guess the correct word in order to unlock the chest or door. And the lockpicking minigame was reminiscent of Skyrim with its familiar turnkey system. Overall, I had a pretty fun time diving into Passageway of the Ancients. It really triggered my nostalgia for the OG Baldur's Gate games, and I was particularly interested in getting to learn more about this world and my party members. I first met Praetor Camden, the no-nonsense cleric, during the tutorial, followed by the compassionate rogue Helia, and finally the Gigachad paladin Galanor. If you're a fan of old-school CRPGs, then Passageway of the Ancients is definitely a game you'll want to check out. It's definitely a nostalgia trip for fans of the original Baldur's Gate games, and a breath of fresh air in the RPG space that's pushed so far into casual mechanics. If you're interested in checking out the game for yourself, then click on the link in the description to wishlist or purchase the game on Steam. And once again, a big thank you to Passageway Games for sponsoring this video. If there are any other indie RPGs you'd like to see me check out, let me know in the comments below. I'm definitely looking forward to exploring the indie space a bit more, given how disappointing a lot of the recent AAA RPGs have been for me. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Big Dan Gaming for more RPG videos. Big shout out to all the channel members for supporting my content. Until next time, this has been Big Dan. I should go.